All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have two very interesting cars for you if you're a soccer mom. We have the first soccer mom car, which is a Macan S 2016, and we have the main soccer car, the Cayenne base. That's like the #1 soccer mom car of wealthy middle-aged
White women.
White women. I don't think we can say white women, can we?
Whatever, women.
Middle-aged women, okay?
White women.
And along with these two cars, we have my good friend Basil.
What's up, guys? How are y'all? I've been on this channel a few times before. You might have seen me in the last video uploading popcorn to my BMW. But deep inside, I really like Porsches. If you squint, these two cars are like 911s, but they're not. And today we're going to talk about why I prefer the Cayenne over the Macan. I actually think this is better, but for YouTube content clout.
No, but the Macan is way better.
It is a better car, but we'll get to that later.
So I'm going to go right off the bat. Let's start with the Macan. So as you can tell,
It's a glorified Q5.
Yes, but this is the S model, okay? So for the price, and we're comparing like slightly different models, but for the price, you can get one of these S model for cheaper than a base Cayenne. And this one has a DCT. The other cool thing is you still have price point left over. So, you know, instead of getting a base Cayenne for, what do they go for, you Mr. Porsche expert?
A base Cayenne, like this one, for example, is a 2019. You can get one with miles.
No, what do they go for new?
New?
Yeah.
Oh, MSRP is like $95,000 back then. Now, if you want to go buy like a base 2024 Cayenne, you're gonna cough out $100,000.
Are they really that much?
Yeah, about 97. But you got to still pay your fees and your taxes and all that stuff.
How about a Macan S? How much is that MSRP?
This car in 2016, when it was new, you could pick one up for like 65, 66,000 with no options. But even standard, you still get heated seats. You still get a lot of nice features like the PDK, which you still don't get in the Cayenne. It's a ZF 8-speed gearbox, and you get the V6 twin turbo rather than the single turbo V6 that comes in the Cayenne from the factory.
One of the craziest things about the two comparison is everybody's like, oh, I need more size. My family doesn't fit in this car, so I need to get the Cayenne because the Macan's too small. But putting them side by side, you really, how much difference is there? I mean, there might be like 4 inches in length difference.
I mean, you get definitely a lot more height with like the trunk of the Cayenne, but to be honest, the legroom is almost identical for as far as the rear passengers are concerned. The Cayenne is just a little lower as far as height, and then it's not as wide as the Cayenne, but the rear legroom is almost the same. You do get a big difference as far as like the trunk. If you see it a lot, if you like you do golf, or if you really are a soccer mom and you have your bags or stuff like that. You're gonna have to fold down the seats in the Macan to fit your golf clubs. While in the Cayenne, you just toss them in and go.
I don't know about that because honestly, the back fits quite. Actually, you know what? Let's go to the back for our scientific purposes here because we really want to show you guys the size difference. We're gonna have Basil jump in because we don't have our measuring tape. So Basil is gonna be the human measuring tape.
I'll get in. Let's go. So I'm not as comfortable in the back seat or in the trunk of this car.
Wait, are we gonna be able to close it?
Are we? Hit the button.
Your head is kind of in the way. I don't want it to like.
If you're kidnapping somebody, what car is better? Oh fuck!
It won't go back up.
Take this home.
So you cannot fit somebody in.
No, you can't. Take this out.
In the Macan. Okay.
Take this out. Take this out. Take this out.
Are we actually going to?
Yes. Take this out.
Okay.
For science, bro. For science.
This is all for you guys.
For science. Close it. I hit the button. Will I fit?
Moment of
truth. Can you kidnap somebody with a Macan?
How comfortable are you?
Bigger than my house. What car do I want to be kidnapped with?
So let's see how comfortable a Cayenne is to get kidnapped in.
I'd rather get kidnapped than one of these already off the bat. I'm telling you, I have so much more room. Hit the button.
Bro, your head.
It's fine. My head's fine. Here. Need it.
How spacious?
10 out of 10.
Ah,
I can actually breathe in this trunk,
it looks so comfortable. I'm so envious.
and it's quite comfortable.
Get out, you muppet. Why would you close it on yourself? You like close the roof.
For science. So yeah, the trunk in the Cayenne, 10 out of 10. 5 out of 10. I would not want to be kidnapped in one of these.
We're gonna show you the leg room. I am, for reference, 5'10". Not a very tall guy. Bess is taller than me. He's like 6 foot. We're gonna sit in the back, but it's okay because children will sit in the back, not adults, right? So,
Well, whenever you're in a pickle and an adult does need to sit in the back, it's like you want to see what's more comfortable for like road trips and whatnot. Now, you definitely have to pull, for somebody like me in my size, you definitely have to pull up one of the front seats, but I fit quite comfortably back here. It's there's not much adjustments for the back seat, just for reference.
yeah, that's sort of interesting because the other one, actually, you can like recline the rear seats. This
Yeah.
one, I didn't realize it. I never really sat in the back of one of these. But yeah, it's very basic in here. Nothing special.
Yeah, no heated rear seats, peasant. So I don't know if it was caught on camera, but before I got into the back of the Macan, I had to pull up the front seat a little bit. This seat is back the same length that the seat originally was, with no adjustments. I'm in here just fine. And like I had mentioned earlier, you can actually recline the seats back and forth depending, just to get more comfortable. And they're already all the way back, but you can even pull them forward and backwards, which I wouldn't do because, like I said, I'm 6 feet tall. And the back seat in this is a lot nicer of a place to be in. You have your chargers here, USBs, and it's just overall a much more comfortable place. And I would rather be on a long trip in the back of one of these.
That's enough of that. Okay, so you don't need to know about that. The back room is plenty spacious in the other car. The Macan is better. So inside the Macan, it's a really nice place to be in, I think. But it's completely different than the Cayenne. That's the one thing I'll give you, especially in the front seats. The front seats tend to be a lot more closed inwards, which if you're into like sports cars, it makes more sense. It feels better. But if you're into, luxury and comfort, the Cayenne is way better.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's much wider. Like if you notice, like these kind of hug you like a sports car. You're like more center massed. The other one's sort of like you're more spread out between each other. Like there's a good gap between this and the other car. What do you think about the interior?
I honestly really like the interior of the Macan. Like Kenan mentioned, it's a really nice place to be. You don't sit too high up off the ground like in the Cayenne. You really feel it. You still are low to the ground, but the car is really spacious. It's comfortable. You can put the seat back and you can really just spread out and relax in one of these. I mean, there's no compromise. Like you get the size, but you also get the performance, and it's a really cool car. Like the infotainment on this model is a little dated. Now you can add Apple CarPlay aftermarket, so that's not really a big deal. But I just don't like the size of the screen. I think it's a little too small. But I also, in these models, I do like the buttons, the hard press buttons. Now on the updated Macans, they got rid of it and they made it this piano black trim that once you start the car, it illuminates. And I don't like the fact that it scratches easily. It shows fingerprints, and then also any oils on your finger or moisture, it does not, like the haptic touch buttons do not respond to that. Like you have to make sure that you're like wiping your finger onto your t-shirt before you press a button, and I just think it drives me crazy sometimes.
Yeah, actually, I don't like them for a different reason. So he doesn't like them because they're annoying to use, which is valid. They are very annoying to use, but I don't like them because aesthetically they drive me nuts. Because what happens is, initially they look cool because it's piano black, it's really nice looking screens, all that stuff. About like 1 year into ownership, maybe even less, you start seeing micro scratches, and it's like micro scratch heaven, and it's like looks really gross. It's like worse than when buttons on cars start fading. That's like 10 years out. This within the year you're gonna have micro scratches, and I don't know if you can even buff those or something like. Maybe you should ceramic coat them. Is that even a thing?
So I've actually have seen people. You can buff them. You can do ceramic coating, but a lot of people do PPF. Now, it's like why are we at the time where we need a PPF our center consoles? Like I don't understand it.
No, please, Porsche, bring back buttons. I complain about these buttons because they're crazy amount of buttons.
It's a sea of buttons.
It's a sea of it's button hell. Okay, but you know what? After going into the 2019 with little touch things, it's not even a Cayenne thing at that point. It's just a 2019 plus thing. I think even the Macan has that. But with the touch stuff, that's even worse. Bring back the buttons. I'll take it. I'm sorry for complaining. I'm now complaining about the touch buttons. Bring back actual buttons, please.
Physical buttons where it's you want the auto start stop, you turn it off, you press the button.
Oh my god, don't get me started on the start stop. So the Cayenne has the start stop. Every time you get in the car, it's inside of the screen only. That's the only way to turn it off. So now if you're like plugged into our CarPlay, if you have anything open, whatever, you have to go to the main screen, navigate around, find where the start stop is, and turn it off every time you get into the car. Or you press sport mode and drive it like a lunatic like me. But we're not going to get into that. It's annoying. Please bring back buttons. Stop with the touch stuff. And for the love of God, auto manufacturers, stop with the start stop. It's driving everybody nuts. Nobody likes it. How are you saving any polar bears?
No.
I don't think you're saving any polar bears. Go after big industrial. Don't go after the guy trying to
because my car turns off at a red light.
So. Yeah, and then the AC turns off and you just feel gross, and it's just the whole thing is so lame. And then you're like, somebody pulls up to you. Imagine this, okay? You're in a Porsche. You're like a fast guy, okay? And then somebody pulls up right next to you in like a Ferrari. You have a Porsche, bro. You're gonna maybe not a Macan, maybe if it's a 911, but nonetheless, a Macan even will race some good stuff. He pulls up to you and he's like, let's, give it the beans kind of thing. And then you realize your car's off and it has to start before, it can launch. And then it's like, it's like a whole thing. You've ruined the moment. You've ruined the moment, auto manufacturers. Stop doing it. Stop ruining the moment. People like their engines to be on when they're driving. Okay.
It's fine in a Honda Accord.
Yeah.
But it's not acceptable in like a Macan. Or anything that's kind of like semi cool, like a BMW, you know what I mean?
Anything luxury, anything sport.
Everything does it. Everything and everybody does it now, and I think it's like there needs to be a way where you can go into the infotainment system, turn it off, and just if you get somebody else drive the car and they want to have it on, cool, power to you. But if I don't want it, I want to turn it off. But without having to plug the car in and then code it. And if it's under warranty and they go to the dealer and they flag it, it's a whole ordeal.
All right, guys. So we're now sat in the Cayenne. Okay, it's a completely. I don't know if you can tell just from the video, but I think you can. There's like way more space between us, and I'm like leaned over to the center a little bit to be more in frame. But like now, there's this sea, river in between us now. There was like nothing between us. Now there's like a gap between us. So if you're mad at your wife, or if your wife is mad at you, she'll be much happier here, far away from you, than if you're in the Macan. In that case, she's stuck very close to you.
My wife. Oh, but I do like the fact that you can get in the Cayenne and just relax. Like you're not so compact.
I'll give it to you. It's definitely not like a sporty feel at all. It's definitely not like a sports car feel. It's a luxury car feel. Like I could be sitting in this and I'll compare it to something much nicer, even though it's nowhere close as nice, like a Rolls Royce, right? Like there's a distance. You're in a big place. The other one feels like you're in a small place, and things are kind of closing in on you, which is nice if you're in a sports car feel. But if you want the more luxury, I'm in this big behemoth thing that's very comfortable and I can take a road trip in it. Let's be honest, you'll much rather be in a road trip in this car, all right?
Well, a Cayenne GTS or a Cayenne Turbo would be ideal, but for reference, yes.
If you're into comfort. If you're into comfort, okay? If you're like on the mountain roads, I'll definitely take the Macan, but that's a different topic for when we're driving it. So yeah, as we told you guys about the buttons are terrible. The screen, a lovely screen, terrible programming, just because of the start-stop, honestly. Everything else in the screen's kind of cool. Actually, I realize this now, as we're sitting in this, The climate control, I forgot to mention that altogether, is such a pain because you press the button and then like
Prompts it on the screen.
it prompts it on the screen, and then you have to figure out which each one of them mean. And there's something called like a ventilation panel, and if you turn ventilation panel, then it turns off the AC, or I think if you turn off ventilation, then it turns off. What does that do? Yeah, it keeps the AC if you turn off the ventilation. It's like those little vents in the top. There's too much control. There's just like make the AC work or don't make it work. Don't give me access to all of these confusing different things that make my life more difficult. Like I already have to choose between where we have to eat. You know, half the time my wife tells me, she's like, "What do you want to eat?" And I have to tell her I want burgers, and she says, "No, I want something else." Everybody can relate to that. This is like another one of those choices that I don't want to have to make. He can't relate, but one day he
Where
will.
do you want to eat? Ah, man, I want this. I'm gonna get what I want.
Yeah. See, this is like a marriage. It's annoying. All right. Anyways, let's get to driving these cars. I'm driving the Cayenne now. I'll give you my impressions. Comfortable and boaty. But like I'm gonna put it in sport mode because we don't have time to deal with, oh, how does it drive without sport mode? Nobody cares. Sport mode. And you know what? Okay, it has pickup. Okay, I don't like the transmission. I'll give you that right off the bat. Transmission terrible. I don't know. They have ZF8s that are good. This is not one of them. I don't know if the S has a better transmission or better tuning on the transmission. This is not a very good tune on the transmission. Very slushy, very slush boxy, and this is in sport. Like when you come to a stop, it like lugs. Like what the heck is that? The DCT doesn't do that. Okay, and probably the sport version of this doesn't do that either. So we're on a stop right here, and I'm gonna give you guys quick launch. How do you launch one of these vessels? Is there like
Traction control off, sport mode.
okay? So traction control, we're gonna turn this off. I don't know if there's a launch control on these. Traction control doesn't even want to go off. Oh, it's not even an option. Look.
It is. You just
these buttons are hidden.
You have to hold it.
I'm holding it. Oh, okay, it did it. Okay, PCM off. Control off. We're in this. I'm gonna see if it'll launch. I don't know if these even have launch control.
You gotta put it in the first gear.
It's in first gear. It's in manual
And then
mode.
you put your foot on the gas and your foot on the brake.
Nope, that is not a launch control.
With a sports chrono, it will allow it, but this doesn't have chrono. So
Well, why didn't you tell me that in the beginning? Anyway, so it's actually it picks up. I mean, I'm not gonna say
anything is launch control if you're brave enough. Almost all I'm saying.
I don't know if that's accurate.
So now driving the Porsche Cayenne, my initial response is the car's really smooth. It drives great, it shifts great, it absorbs bumps, and that's coming from somebody who's used to driving low-end sports cars. It's really refreshing to drive this car, but it's boring. I mean, yes, if you want to have some spirited driving, this is not the car. Like I mentioned earlier, you want to get at least an S. But the GTS or the turbo obviously is the way to go, but that's a completely different ballpark compared to something like this. Now, coming down to a stop, the transmission is, like Kenan mentioned, it does kind of feel like my 335. It like ZF 6-speed. It doesn't feel like a ZF8. Like a ZF8 in a BMW shifts rapid fire to the point where they're even using those on like the M5s and the M3s. But in something like this, it's not. It's a little bit clunky coming down to a stop, and when you're like really getting into it, it shifts hard. Whether you're in sport mode or individual or comfort, it really does want to nag you and shift hard. But driving the car over bumps, it feels great. For city driving and commuting, you can't really beat it. It has a really luxurious feeling to it. The road nose in the cabin is slim to none. You don't really hear the tires on the road. And suspension is just soft. Like, it just feels nice.
All right, so we've now sat in the Macan. We're at a stop sign. Of course, I'm going to put it in sport mode. This one does have launch control, for sure, because I've used it before. You're going to put it in sport with traction control off. Do you have to keep holding it like a BMW?
No, it's off.
It's off is off in this car, okay? We're now in manual. You hold it down. Oh, that's so cool. Oh my God, all right. So welcome to Speed. Before you were sitting on Captain Slow's car. Today you're in a fast car.
Speed and power.
Speed and power. And you have the smoothness of a DCT. I mean, it's way smoother. And I don't know what Porsche does with their DCTs, but like they make magic. They don't make DCTs; they make magic. It makes you not want like okay, so like Teslas and stuff these days, they don't even have gearboxes. It's just consistent power, but they bring fun into shifting in cars that are not even manual. Like that's what a DCT is. Like you can have fun shifting a non-manual car because like other slush boxes, like the other one is like it's not even fun to play with the pedals, but this one is like boom, boom. It downshift instantaneously, makes like these little pops. It's like so much more fun to drive. And that's where they really differentiate.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing has the DCT, which is what makes Porsche a Porsche. Honestly, these days, the one thing that everybody loves in these cars is that DCT, and it's just so quick, and it sounds good. It has this little like this exhaust that they put on the S model. It's not very loud, but it just you can hear the pops, you can hear the engine go out a little bit. It's a cool car to be in, and it handles like you can do that. You can do that like a sports car. You can do that. You don't feel like you're gonna tip over. Like if you did that inside of the Cayenne, bro, you'll flip. You'll just flip. That's it. But like this one, you can take it like a sports car. You take this corner. I can do this because there's nobody on this road ever. It's just like you're driving. It honestly feels like my M2. Okay, maybe not as good as the M2, but very close to the M2 as far as performance. You know what would be great on these? Like making a nice Dakar build on this. Dakar? Is it Dakar or Dakar? Whatever. A Dakar build on an Macan would be sick. Like imagine a GTS or I'm off the chain here, but getting back to the S model, it's really good. You get all what you need, and you're still coming under budget to the Cayenne, because the Cayenne is like 90,000 to 100,000. This thing 70,000, 80,000 with a lot of options. I mean, it's just a better car in my opinion. Overall, you can handle in this car. You can drive fast. You can be comfortable. It's not as comfortable for sure, but you can be comfortable, and you can just take this thing like cross country. I can imagine myself in a mountain road with this car. I can't imagine myself on a mountain road with the Cayenne, to be honest. That's just like it's just gonna be boring. It's gonna be like okay, too much body roll. This one you can go ham on a nice mountain road.
You definitely do not get that in the Cayenne. Now, the Porsche Macan does have the PDK, which is really the biggest like plus between the two. I really don't understand why Porsche did not use the PDK in the Cayenne, other than possibly for towing. But who's towing in a Cayenne anyways? But who's towing in a Macan too? That's the explanation that they say. They put the ZF gearbox in the Cayenne just because of towing and longevity, but who cares? I mean, the PDK is a reliable transmission. You can put miles and miles and miles on them and be fine. But it does have a lot of it elevates the driving pleasure, and that's really the biggest thing between the Macan. And although it is kind of a glorified Audi Q5, it doesn't feel like an Audi Q5, although they're almost the same car. It sounds really good. It drives really good. It doesn't absorb the bumps as good, and you do have a little bit more road and tire noise just because of the installation. But I kind of like the road noise because it allows you to hear the exhaust and all the the pops and bangs that it does from the factory. I can only imagine one of these with like an aftermarket exhaust, let alone a muffler delete. But it really is a really smooth, fun handling car, and it just wants to downshift and upshift on demand, and you cannot beat that feeling. And to compare it to an M2 is kind of funny, but it is a very nice feeling sports car. It's like the perfect compromise, I think, if you want to have a fast, practical car and you don't want to have like a small, boring hatchback. Cough, cough, Volkswagen GTI.
All right, Basti. So which one would you have?
I'm still gonna go with
No,
the Cayenne.
be honest. Be honest. This one, right?
This one.
No.
Okay, like if you take the transmission out of this one and stick it in this one.
No, but
yes.
what would you have it if it's as is? Which one would you prefer? Like which one would you own more?
That one.
It's true. Is
Yeah.
that was just a much better car. Like, if you like cars, if you like soccer, this one might be for you. But if you like cars, I think it's like,
SUVs that drive like cars.
yeah, this drives really good.
It does. Yeah.
Could you imagine like if you do like an off-road build with it? Not off-road, like a Dakar build. That'd be sick.
You know, like
Like
put
those
some beefier tires on
beefier
it.
tires.
Lift
It
it a
doesn't.
bit.
See, it's already lifted enough. Like Dakar builds normally lift to about that much. Like if you look at the Porsche Dakar, the 911 Dakar,
Yeah.
it's about that tall. Maybe a little bit less actually.
Dude,
Wider.
that would be absolutely bonkers. Just put like smaller wheels, beefier tires,
Yeah.
and you can go conquer anything.
Honestly, that would be like across Africa or something. Like Top Gear
Top
special.
Gear challenge.
Top
Yeah.
Gear challenge. That would be. I would take one of these for a Top Gear challenge.
Tonight, I buy a Porsche Macan. Yeah, I know. I definitely like the Macan is such a cool little compact SUV versus the Soccer Mom Express, which is still cool, I guess. You know, it's a Porsche, but the Macan takes the cake. On this
If you want a car that's a Porsche, just so you say you have a Porsche, you get this. If you want to have a Porsche and have the real Porsche experience, you get that. Don't get the base Macan. I think it's crap, just for the record. The S is way better. And
Way better.
And to be fair, the S on the Cayenne is probably a lot better, but it's a lot more expensive, and you can have an S one of these for way less than you have an S one.
On the used market, you can get a used Macan S for under $30,000, which is it's a bargain. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a bargain.
They
especially
honestly
with the
are
car
bargain
market.
cars. Yeah,
Today, it's a bargain.
like you drive a Porsche, it feels like a Porsche. It's fast,
Quality.
it's comfortable, it's a good quality, and it's under 30 grand for a low mile.
Can't beat it.
Yeah, it was a good deal. Yeah. All right, guys. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe. If you like seeing these kind of casual car reviews with me and Basil, leave a comment below of what cars you would like us to compare. I'll try and get my hands on them. If you would like more videos, Porsche videos in general with these cars, let me know. Let me know if you have any ideas that you would like to see. And thanks for watching.
We just go off to pull out the camera. It's not scripted. It's just two guys talking about cars. But yeah, if you want to like see more, feel free to comment, and also make sure to comment down below which car you'd much rather have.